definitely Hawaii was treated as a colony, but it was treated as a colony in order to conceal the occupation. And from that perspective is where I come from. When we argued the case before the Permanent Court of Arbitration, that was on the assumption that the Hawaiian Kingdom continues to exist as a sovereign and independent state. The question, though, is how do you exercise that sovereignty, not how do you reestablish what is already established. What's going on in Iraq is not a sovereignty movement. It is the movement on how to exercise Iraqi sovereignty that was never terminated by the US military. And there was more force of arms used in Iraq than there was used here. So the fact of the military in overthrow does not equate to an overthrow of the sovereignty of a country. So when we, okay, perfect, 1 more minute. Yeah? Okay, good, 1 more minute I got.
You got 5 more.
Oh, terrific, okay, wow, let me stretch. I was watching my clock, I'm watching John. So the one thing that you might say, what I needed to do, yeah, in looking at this, there are so many stories that have been going on that when I was here in, actually I attended New Mexico Military Institute after Kamehameha schools from 1982 to 1984. That's where I got my commission as a second lieutenant and my associate's degree. I transferred to the University of Hawaii to get my bachelor's, and between 1984 and 1987, that was the heyday of Hawaiian history. Oh boy, it was hot and heavy back then. And I remember it was a lot of emotion, yeah, a lot of anger. For me, I didn't know what this anger was. I had to learn it in class. It was like a learned behavior, my anger. And then once I started to see many different facets or angles of looking at Hawaii's history, I never really could get a straight answer. It was always argumentative. Yeah? Well, when I look back when I was an officer, when you look at intel, which is history, before you develop a battle plan, intel always precedes the plan. The plan is never made and then you go find the intel to go fit it. Because in the military, you go out with a pretty skewed battle plan, people can die. What I found was there wasn't too much on the intel, and that's where I wanted to get into. Take another look at Hawaii's history. I wanted to see Hawaii's history through Mike Kupuna, not through me. I didn't know what happened in 1893. I was born in 1964. So I'm many years away from the situation, and once I started to understand who they were, both in Hawaiian and English, a very different picture began to be painted. I started to see people like Joseph Navahi, James Kaulia, Timoteo Ha'alilio, William Richards, William Lee, all these people, everyone. I'm like, wow, heavy. I didn't know any of that. So my quest was to hear them. And then from them, I would want to try to continue where they left off. And it's been a struggle because I don't know what it's like to live in the kingdom. It's just a word. I don't know what it's like to have a constitutional head of state. It's just in the newspaper. But I can try to imagine how they were and what they would have done. And the first thing I always try to do is put myself in their shoes. How would Navahi address the situation that we're in right now? A lot of times we'll go outside and we look at other people to help us tell us what happened. We always run around outside asking everybody, how should we do this? I wanted to look at ourselves and look at who we are, our past, and I wanted to see who they were, not just by natives, but anybody connected who loved this country called the Hawaiian Kingdom. A lot of them were non-natives, but they were Hawaiian subjects. So those are the things that led me to where I'm at and my position, and it has gotten me to some great places internationally on this theory of international law and occupation. And after I finished my dissertation, I went ahead and I gave a brief to the Staff Judge Advocate, the JAG of the United States Army at Wheeler Courthouse, February 2009. They read my law journal article, A Slippery Path Towards Hawaiian Indigeneity. And boy, were they shocked. Because if you knowingly violate the law of occupation in an occupied state, that's a war crime. All of a sudden, war crimes are entering the conversation. And it's not a political statement, it becomes a legal consequence. So it becomes things are taken very, very seriously. So one thing that I did find that the JAG was very interested in, they weren't arguing about Hawaii being occupied. They weren't questioning whether or not Hawaii was annexed. Oh, it was clear, it's self-evident. What they could not believe was the status that Hawaii had before America showed up in 1893, a sovereign state, over 90 embassies and consulates, over 20 treaties. They were amazed at the constitutional evolution of the Hawaiian Kingdom as a constitutional monarchy. That became the real topic of discussion. Later on, you bring that to today, we talk about consequences and liability. But just as the military didn't know, I didn't know. That's why in 1994, I had to resign my commission. I was in the wrong army, I got out. But after 10 years, I can say I learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot. And I'm trying to apply those same principles of how an officer would see this, given the dire situation or the seriousness of the situation. And from there, it has taken to where I'm at now. And with that, I think I'd like to bring it to an end. And mahalo.